Hey, what's going on? So today we're back. We're gonna talk about finally. I've gotten this question a few times, and I've been ignoring it on purpose because I wanted to do a video for it. So finally, it's about time. And that is a gun pun. Anyway, so finally what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Revolver time. So a lot of people will talk about, okay, what does time mean? Is the gun in time? Oh, my revolver's out of time, etc., etc. What are they talking about when they say time, right? So let's just do our normal, straight up, quick safety check. Make sure these things are unloaded, right? We got 6 holes there, model 19. And let's check the 2020 Python. Make sure we got 6 holes in that. And we're all set, ready to rock and roll. Okay, now we're safe. So what we've talked about here on this, I'm going to use the straighter end of this bread tie. What we've talked about here on this before at length is how this cylinder gets indexed onto each charge hole in line with the bore. Now, when there are 2 things going on here, and one is as that cylinder comes around, if we're looking straight down the bore, as the cylinder comes around, it gets indexed right up with the bore. And what we want to check for is to make sure that that cylinder is actually aligned. That is called cylinder alignment. That is not timing. So time, and how we can check for time is we can see, use this Model 19 as an example. We can see down here in the bottom of the cylinder window, this is actually, that bright tie's not even going to work. We're going to need this. We're going to need our old Q-tip back. Okay, so this is the bolt, right? You can see it down here. The light's not great, but this bolt. Now this bolt indexes on each of these, and you can just see it at the bottom of my thumbnail there, indexes on each of these little notches that's cut out, right? So as the cylinder turns inside of the window, which are on the Smith & Wesson Revolver, we're actually turning this way. As the cylinder turns inside of the window, that bolt is going to disappear and pop back up, drag along the cylinder until it finds its next home, right? And that's going to be the index. Now, if a gun, how to check if a gun is in time. We can see inside of the cylinder window, we can see the bolt. As I pull the trigger, we can see the hammer starts moving, right? Hammer starts moving and that bolt drops out of the way. Now it's going to come all the way around. You can see that it popped back up, right? So it's dragging, and you can see this drag line. It's dragging along the cylinder, and it's dropping into that catch, and it's staying right there. Now, how can we check, right? Okay, so I found an old gun. I'm not sure if it's safe to fire. Right, the bore looks clean. Right, we can see my finger down there. Bore looks clean. Looks like we're ready to go. Blah blah blah. Right, but I don't know if it's in time, and I don't want to just take it out, put some ammo in it, and then fire it, and find out that, that's the reason why I got hung up. So what you can do is you can apply a little bit of drag. Now, I'm using my 2 fingers here. I'm just applying a little bit of drag to the cylinder to make sure that as this comes around before the hammer falls, you see that? Popped right back in, right? And then the hammer falls. Now, before the hammer falls, I want to make sure I'm applying a little bit of pressure that bolt indexes before the hammer falls. A lot of people, now this is sort of a 2-parter. So a lot of the old Pythons got accused of going out of time frequently. This is a fact. The earlier guns, the guns out of the 50s, guns out of the 70s, when you ran hot 357 Magnum ammo through these in the past, this is a 2020, out of the guns out of the 50s, when you ran hot ammo through them, they would go out of time. All of this stuff, all of this lock work in here, we're going to take the side plate off of this at some point and really show you guys exactly. We'll talk a little bit more about the 2020 Colts and a little bit more about what's going on with Colt. But anyway, when you ran really hot ammo through these would fall out of time fairly regularly. Not the issue with the 2020 Python. They cleared that up, but they got accused. There was a lot of accusations about these going out of time at the time because the way Colt's hand is actually located here. It's here in the side plate. It's not on the other side like it is on the Smith. So in the Colts, as this cylinder comes around, the bolt pops up much later in the process, and it also Colt sort of accounts for a bit of rotational speed, right? Because we're operating this in double action, and you can tell by the way that they machine some of their stuff because they're freewheeling pretty good here, but they're accounting for some rotational inertia because we are operating this in double action. They're counting on you running this pretty quick, right? So they're counting on you sort of bumping into that, allowing that bolt to really pop back up in the window on time. So Colts can be very tricky to sort of check this diagnosis, and it's in time almost as the hammer's falling there. It's really difficult to show, and we can just kind of see it there and see how it just falls in, and it seems like it's falling in all at the same time, but it's not. It is indexing inside of that. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of focus here. Let's try to see if we can sharpen this up. It is indexing just before the hammer falls, and this is a slightly different design too for this. You can see that is what the bolt looks like here. I'm running a little bit long, and I will go back and address some of this stuff, but how you check and see if a revolver is in time is by putting a little bit of drag on the cylinder and making sure that comes up before the hammer makes contact with the firing pin and makes contact with the primer. If it does not, what you're going to get is you're going to get a bunch of that is not going to align with the bore properly, and as that cylinder comes around, it's going to ignite before it's aligned with the bore, and a bunch of lead and other debris is going to spit out of this window between the cylinder and the forcing cone, and you are going to know it. Let me tell you right now. And if you put a piece of paper up next to that thing, it will absolutely shred that piece of paper. Anyway, that's how we check if a gun is in time. Sorry, this video ran a little bit long. If you like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day.